All right, everyone, welcome back. This is Mr. Alas again. I'm going to talk to you about narrative prompts in this video. I'm going to talk about two examples. So right now, I'm going to, I don't know if my screen is sharing. Let's try that again. Okay, so once again, I actually changed things up from the last video, which was literally a few minutes ago. But when you go to my Google Classroom, you go to classwork, the T-chart practice now lives in the prompt video series section, right? So all these videos are going to be under this section, right? So you can come back to them, you can watch them and come back to them whenever you want. And here is that extra credit T-chart practice that I spoke about in the last video. So again, T-chart practice. First thing you need to do when you sit down to take the test is read and deconstruct your prompt. Deconstruct means to break it down to smaller parts. 3 steps of deconstructing your prompt is reading the prompt at least twice, annotating the prompt, which means circling the verbs and underlining the whats, and then making a T-chart. Once you've got your T, you read your text passage. Then you write your response to the prompt. And as you write your response to the prompt, you use your T-chart. Okay, I'm going to add something here. Check off each item on the T-chart. All right, so I will go over that later when I go through when I give you a sample of, or when I show you an example of the prompt, of the T-chart. Okay, so let's go through, and again, when you click on this document, there is this Edpuzzle video. If you want it, it's a little bit shorter than me just talking like this, but yeah, it's there, and it's also a homework assignment, so at least watch it once. So here's a prompt, okay? I sit down in front of my test, right, on the day of the test. I don't really know what I'm supposed to read. In this case, this is kind of an exception. Right, this doesn't come with a text, so let's break it down anyway. All right, so we're going to deconstruct the prompt and make a T-chart at the end of that, and we're going to go ahead and write our answer to the prompt using our T-chart. Okay, so the first thing we do is read the prompt at least twice. So here it goes. Here we go. Write as much as you can of a story with a clear beginning, middle, and end. Choose a person you admire. This can be a famous person or someone you know. Then write a journal entry in the voice of this person. Imagine an event that this person may have taken part in. Write your journal entry about this event. That's step 1. Read the prompt. Read it at least 2 times. Step 2 is to annotate. When we annotate, we circle the verbs, which are the action words, the words that are telling you to do something, and then we're going to underline important details that match up with those verbs. The whats, W-H-A-T-S, what. What pairs up with the verb? What pairs up with the action word? So I can't circle on this Google Doc, so I'm just going to pretend that I'm circling. So anything that I highlight in yellow is going to be a verb, right? So the first verb that I see here is the verb to write, okay? So it becomes, I circle it, or in this case, turn it yellow. Write as much of a story, blah, blah, blah. I don't see any verbs in the sentence, so I go to the next sentence. Choose a person you admire. Choose is a verb. Why is it a verb? It's a verb because it's telling me to do something. It's telling me to choose. This can be a famous person or someone you know. Okay, no verbs there. Next sentence. Then write a journal entry in the voice of this person. What is the verb that we see? It's the second word right there. Write. All right, it's telling me to write. This part of the prompt is telling me to write. A journal entry in the voice of this person. And then next sentence right there. Oh, do you guys notice a pattern? A lot of these verbs, a lot of these action words are at the beginning of sentences. Hint, hint. Imagine an event that this person may have taken part in. Write your journal entry about this event. So here's another thing. A verb can be repeated a couple times in a prompt. In this case, the verb write or to write has been repeated 3 times. So first part of annotation is circling the verbs, the action words. Second part is underlining the whats, and the whats are what you can pair up next, what you can pair up with the verb. All right, what do you match up with the verb? Okay, for example, the first one is write. What can I pair up with write in that sentence? What makes sense? Like, for example, let's look at the sentence. Write as much as you can of a story with a clear beginning, middle, and end. What do I think is important in that sentence? What do I have to write? What do I have to know? So the first thing I see is the word story. I have to write a story. Okay? The second thing that I would underline that I can match up with the verb write is clear beginning, middle, and end. Okay? These are requirements. I have to meet this requirements. This is what the prompt is telling me to do. So I got to make sure that I recognize this so I can do them and check them off my T-chart at the end of it all. Second thing. For second verb, choose. What do I choose? In this case, it's who do I choose? And I'm going to underline person you admire. I don't need to underline this sentence. This can be a famous person or someone you know, right? You'll just know that when you write your response later. Then the next verb is write again. What am I going to write? What is important in this sentence that I can pair up with the word write? And that is the term journal entry, okay? Now, some of you were stuck with the word entry because you didn't understand or didn't know what the word journal or entry was. You knew what the word journal was. So I would just underline journal because I know what that is, and that's what I am supposed to write. And I will just underline entry anyway because it's attached to the word journal. And then I would maybe put a question mark if I don't know what entry means. Okay, in this case, it's just a page of the journal. All right, one date or one letter in the journal. Okay, another thing, can you guys see something else in this sentence? In this sentence that you would consider important to know and important to underline. It's another what you can pair up with the verb write. And if you are guessing in the voice of this person, you are guessing correctly. That is important because it is telling you the point of view that you need to be writing from, right? So a lot of your writing up to this time has been summaries and just telling how you feel about something, or a lot of summarizing, a lot of your opinions, I think, et cetera, et cetera. Now, 6th grade going forward, you're going to have to put yourself in people's shoes. You're going to have to pretend to be other people. You're going to have to still argue your opinions and make arguments sometimes to argue your opinion about something. But then other times you're going to have to write a balance essay where you have to see both sides and present both sides. So a lot of things are changing in the 6th grade. One of these things is that you won't be asked to write a summary anymore for a writing test. You'll have to do something like this. So, okay, that went off on a little tangent there. So write a journal entry in the voice of this person, right? In the voice of this person. I'm pretending to be this person. Now, next verb, imagine. I'm going to imagine an event. That's what I'm going to underline, that this person may have taken part in. Okay, I don't need to underline that. Lastly, the last verb is write. And again, I'm going to write my journal entry about this event. So what does this look like on a T-chart? Okay. First of all, you have your blank piece of paper in front of you. You're going to take your pen or pencil. Let me see, make sure I'm the right color. What's that? Nah. All right, let's do that one. Okay, blank piece of paper. You're gonna draw a, guess what? Because it's a T chart, you're gonna draw a T. And I'm doing this on with my mouse, so it's not gonna look very pretty. On the left, at the top, you have verbs. Remember, your verbs have been circled, or in this case of the Google Doc, they've been highlighted yellow. Your verbs are your action words. Then on the right at the top of the column, you're putting your what's. Okay, so let's drop some verbs in there. Okay, so we have write, choose, write, imagine, write. Write, choose, write, imagine, write. Let's see if I can remember that. Write, choose, imagine. Oh, what was the other one? Write, choose, imagine. Write, choose, write, imagine, write. Write, choose, write, imagine, write. There we go. All right. So you would be handwriting this, obviously, because this is going to be on your piece of paper with a pencil or a pen or something like that. Okay, the next thing I would do, and again, don't turn yourself off to this, because remember, once you get the hang of this, it will go a lot quicker than me just walking you through it step by step. Once you put your verbs down, you're going to match up the what's next to the verbs, and the what's are the things that you underline. So what do we have to write? A story, clear beginning, middle, and end. So that's all I'm going to put, because this is just brainstorming, right? This is not your answer. This is going to help you write your answer. So just put short things like story, clear beginning, middle, and end, right? I know that the prompt is asking for these things right from the beginning. So that's important. Now, let me change something really quick. There we go. All right, so what are we choosing? In this case, remember, we're choosing, it's not what, it's who. We're going to choose someone, and I'm going to put it in first person, someone that I admire, right? Because it's someone, you know, it's asking me to do this. The prompt is asking me to do this. Then it's asking me to write something else. What is that? Right? I underline journal entry, voice of this person. I'm going to put journal entry in voice of this person. I don't know what that means, so I'm going to put a question mark. All right? I'm just pretending I don't know what that means. I really do, but let's pretend that we don't know. So let's put a question mark. What do we imagine? An event. An event. That's all I need to write. And what do we need to write? We need to write a journal entry about this event. Okay. All right, so there is your T-chart. That's it. It's fairly straightforward, okay? Again, it should just take you 1 or 2 minutes, all right? You just follow those 3 steps. You read the prompt at least twice, then you annotate by circling the verbs and underlining the what's, and then you make a T-chart. Now, what do you do once you've gotten your T? If you have a passage, you read your passage. Once you've read the passage, then you write your response to the prompt. Okay? Here's the thing. You're going to have this piece of paper with you. So when you're writing the prompt, you're going to have this T-chart. So let's just do just that. So I'm going to pretend that I'm just going to copy this onto a blank document. So there's my T-chart. Okay. Let me make this smaller. Let's see. Okay. There we go. Okay, so how do I start? So remember, this prompt didn't have a text to write. So I don't have to respond to the text, right? Or read a text or understand a text. I just have to understand the prompt so that I can write my response to it. So let's start. What do I have to write? I need to write a story. So I need to make it up. That it's a narrative. I know that now. It's got to have a clear beginning, middle, and end. I need to choose someone that I admire. Who do I admire? Let's see. Let's say Little Nas X. So I'm just thinking out loud here, right? I'm going to write a journal entry in the voice of this person. Okay, so I don't know what journal entry in voice of the person means, but let me replace the end of that sentence with the name of the person. So I'm going to write a journal entry in the voice of Little Nas X. Okay, so that tells me that I have to pretend that I'm Little Nas X, which, when you flip it out around and use official terminology for it, it means that you are writing from their point of view. When you are pretending to be someone, you are writing from their point of view, and it is first person point of view. I, me, we, us, anything that involves the author, the writer. What do I have to imagine? An event. What do I have to write? A journal entry about this event. Okay, first thing I do. What do? I start writing. So it's a journal entry. So do I write once upon a time? I saw someone do that, right? It's a good start. It's a story. It's something that you usually see in stories, but that's something that you usually see in elementary school, like early elementary school. So we don't really want to start our response like that. What are we writing? Look at the rights in the verbs and match them up with the what's. Okay, there's two rights that say to write a journal entry. So how do we start writing a journal entry? When I kept my journal entry in middle school and high school, I used to handwrite it into a journal. I used to go to Barnes and Noble. I don't know if you all have Barnes and Noble down here in the South. It's a bookstore that sold books and journals and things like that. So I would write my journal entry. And then in college and beyond, I would keep my journal and my thoughts in a blog online. But anyway, any of those options always began with something specific. It always began with a date. So I don't know the date yet, so I'm just going to put date. And also, it usually started with Dear Journal. Okay? So, sorry. So then I'm going to think about I already decided who I'm going to choose, right? It's going to be Lil Nas X. All right. I don't need to put that down. It's already in my head. So I have the date. I know I have to write a journal entry in Lil Nas X's voice. So now I need to imagine an event. Okay? So the event that I'm going to imagine as Lil Nas X is sometime a couple years ago when I first met a country singer that wanted to do a collab. Okay, so everything is centered around Old Town Road, right? The song that was big, I think it was 2018 or something like that. That's what's in my head. That's the event, right? The collaboration that brought out Old Town Road. So I'm going to just pretend the date is February 12, 2018. Okay, Dear Journal. Okay. So I'm going to say today I met a country singer. I don't know what his name was. Wait, I don't remember what his name was. Was it Billy Ray Bob Cyrus McGee or something like that? Again, it's writing in a journal, so it's not super formal. And he asked me if I wanted to do a collab. And I told him, well, I don't know if that would work. Have you ever heard of a rap and country collaboration? I haven't, and I don't know if it would work. I don't know if it would work. I'm from Atlanta, so I'm technically from the South, which means I should know some country, but I don't. So I don't know. And that's it. I just keep writing, right? Remember, I keep in mind the event, right? The event was the collaboration between Billy Ray Cyrus and Lil Nas X to make that Old Town Road song that everyone was obsessed with. I mean, I can put anything I want here. I can just keep writing and, say that it went all the way to like we collabed and it turned out great and it was the #1 song and like kids started loving it and like kids got into Lil Nas into my music as Lil Nas X, which surprised me. And you can write about the pink sparkly cowboy hat, whatever, as long as it makes sense, as long as it's a journal entry from the person's perspective or point of view that you chose, and it's talking about an event, right? You are good. So let's pretend that I just wrote. So you're writing this thing, right? You're writing your response, and you are keeping your T-chart handy, okay, to help you write. And at the end of it all, you check off the things that you did to make sure that you answered all the parts of the prompt. So we're pretending that I finished my journal entry. So did I write a story with a clear beginning, middle, and end? Yes, I did. Did I choose someone that I admire? Lil Nas X, yes. So truthfully, I don't admire Lil Nas X, but I can pretend that I do. Okay? When you write something like this, it's probably better to choose someone that you really do admire. But when you write a narrative, you're an author. You are in charge of how things turn out in your story. You have full control. So you can just pretend that I could just pretend that I like Lil Nas X. Okay? Did I write a journal entry in the voice of Lil Nas X? Yes. Did I imagine an event that Lil Nas X participated in? Yes. And did I write a journal entry about this event? Yes, yes, yes. So you write with your T-chart. You write your response to the prompt with your T-chart. And at the end of it all, you check your T-chart to make sure you answered everything. Okay? This is how you get points. Now, let me explain or talk really quickly about why I just won't stop bothering you guys about prompts. Okay? I got some really excellent submissions last weekend to this particular homework assignment. It was your narrative quick write from last week. Remember, we used Writable for the first time to do this narrative quick write, and this was your prompt. Your prompt was to pretend you were someone else that you admire and write a journal entry about an event in their voice. I do not understand why about 93% of my submissions were biographies. Well, I do understand. It's because until now, you guys all you have been doing, all that has been asked of you was to write summaries. And a biography is a summary. But you're in 6th grade now. You need to actively participate in taking a part, or actively participate in understanding the questions and duties that are asked of you. I just said duty. Huh. So you have to learn how to deconstruct that prompt. And really, it's just three steps. Okay? And once you practice it a few times, you will get it. Now, those that submitted biographies, some of them are really beautiful. I got one with like a picture, like evolution of someone. I got one with like YouTube videos embedded into it. That was great. But all of those, no matter how beautiful they were, it's 0 points. Okay, you didn't do any of these things. So deconstruct your prompt and use it as a checklist when you write your response. Okay, this is it for this particular prompt. However, I'm going to keep talking. Actually, I'm going to give you one more example, and I would recommend that you stick with me through it. I'm going to go a little quicker than I did with this Lil Nas X one, or with this narrative prompt. Okay, this is another narrative prompt example, but really quickly, let me just fill this in. So there's a T-chart on the practice test, or in the practice document. Write, imagine, write. So we were told to write a story, clear beginning, middle, and end. Choose someone that I admire. Write a journal entry in their voice. I want to capitalize that because that's important. Imagine an event and write a journal entry about that event. All right, so this is going to be in the practice document so that you can refer to this on your own. Okay. I'll skip this part. That'll be for another day. All right, let's look at prompt 2. Prompt 2. Again, first step when you first thing you do when you get to your test is read and deconstruct a prompt. So first step of deconstructing your prompt is read the prompt at least twice. So let me read it once. You have read Langston Hughes' poem, Mother to Son, in which a mother is speaking to her son. In a response, explain how the primary literary device of a metaphor helps to develop a theme in the poem. Be sure to use reasoning and key details from the poem to support your analysis. Your writing will be... Oh, wait, this part, you're going to get that in pretty much every prompt. And that bottom sentence is basically saying that you will be graded on how you organize yourself, your thoughts and your ideas, your grammar, and your spelling and all that stuff. So focus on the prompt itself. And I just read that, and I have no idea what I just read. I'm stressed out already just by looking at it. There's things that I see that I don't really understand, or words that I don't know. So I'm just gonna give up, or I feel like it. But no, I remember that Mr. Alas made this really silly video with Miss Kevin telling y'all how to deconstruct or take apart a prompt. So let's do the first step. We just did the first step. We read it at least twice. Second step, annotate. Annotate by circling the verbs and underlining the what's. Verb number 1. No, that's not a verb. Sorry. This is tricky. I'm going to highlight or circle read. Okay? And it's also past tense, right? You have read. In which a mother is speaking to her son. In a response, explain how the primary blah, blah, blah. Explain. Circle that. Helps to develop a theme in the poem. Okay. Be sure to use. Okay, use. Reasoning and key details from this poem to support. Verbs are action words. They are telling you to do something. Now we go for the what's. We're going to underline the what's. So the first sentence. You have read Langston Hughes' poem, Mother to Son, in which a narrator is speaking to her son. Langston Hughes, I hope we can talk about Mr. Hughes after this test. He's a wonderful African-American author that is very, 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 very famous, and I love his work. Anyway, so what do I underline? What do I underline? What can I pair up with read or read in this case? So I'm going to underline the word poem. Okay. And I'm going to underline mother is speaking to her son. I underline poem because this tells me that what I am going to read is a piece of literature. It's a piece of fiction. It's a piece of literature. And in this case, it is a poem, right? That's the form of literature that I will be reading. That's what I will see in the text passage that I'm going to read. It's a poem, okay? And also, I know that fiction is made up. It's not, the author writes fiction or narratives to entertain, okay? So the poem is fiction. It's made up. I underlined mother is speaking to her son. Anybody know why I underlined that? I underlined that because in my mind, it's kind of giving me an idea of point of view, right? Who is the narrator in this poem? This little detail, this little what, is telling me that the narrator is the mother, okay? And that the mother is speaking to her son. You know, I can guess other things, and I'll talk about that later. Actually, no, I won't talk about it later. I'll talk about it now. So I underlined that because it's giving me point of view, or potential point of view. And if it's the mother speaking to her son, it probably will be in first person, right? It'll be the mother as a narrator speaking in the poem. Okay, that would probably be first person point of view. But again, I'm just making an inference. Okay, next verb, explain. Okay, this is a lot right now. Explain how the primary literary device of a metaphor helps to develop a theme in a poem. All right. Maybe I don't know what the word metaphor means. Maybe I don't know what literary device means. But I do know theme. And I'm going to underline develop a theme and work backwards from there. Okay. Explain how the device of a metaphor. So I'm going to underline how the device, or how the metaphor helps to develop a theme in the poem. Okay? Well, let's just say no, you should know what metaphor is. It's figurative language, right? It's something that we have studied, something that you have actually studied for several years now since elementary school. So you should know what metaphor is. It's not a simile. It's close to a simile, but it's something else, right? So we're explaining, that's the verb, how a metaphor helps to develop a theme. What are we going to use? What are we going to underline to pair up with use? Reasoning and key details. This is just another way to say cite evidence. And what are we supporting? Our analysis. Analysis means the thing that we just analyzed. Okay. Let's draw this baby. Let's see. Black T-chart. Verbs on the left. What's on the right? And again, I'm going to cheat a little bit. And what are the verbs? Let's see. Oops. We've got read or read, explain, use, support. Read, explain, use, support. Read, explain, use, support. 4 verbs. So it's actually not that overwhelming right now because there's only 4 things I really have to do. What are the what's? I'm going to read a poem with a mother speaking to her son. If you want, you can put by Langston Hughes. Up to you. What's important is that it's a mother speaking to her son. And it's a poem. What do we have to explain? Explain how metaphor helps to develop a theme. Explain how metaphor helps to develop a theme. Even if I still don't know exactly how I'm going to do that, at least know what you have to do. Okay? What are we going to use? Reasoning and key details. And then what are we going to support? Our analysis. Okay, so that's my T-chart right there for this prompt. Okay, let me throw that here so you can have it. Read or read, explain, use, support. Poem, mother speaking to the child. Explain how metaphor develops theme in the poem. Use reasons and key details. And support my analysis. Analysis. Okay. Yes. Okay. So at this point, you have your T. You got your T chart. What are you going to do? At this point, you read. Sorry, Miss Kevin is whining. What's up, little lady? At this point, this is the point where you read the poem. Okay? Read it a few times until you understand it. Annotate, write notes on your paper. Just make sure that you keep your T-chart handy. Okay? When you've read it enough times that you hopefully understand it is when you start writing your response. So when you start writing your response, you're going to pull out that T chart and then try to go step by step and see and answer it the best way you know how. As long as you do, as long as your answer has the parts in the T chart that you pulled out of the prompt, you'll get partial credit. Okay? Focus on what the prompt says. Focus on what the prompt says, and you will get credit. Okay? I love beautiful biographies with pictures and timelines and videos, but really, a good response to a prompt doesn't have to be a huge thing. It could just be a paragraph. If it meets all of the requirements of the prompt, it could score full points. All right. So this is your T chart for prompt 2. I'm not going to start it for you because guess what? This one is your homework for this week, right? Right here, HW, informational, mother to son. When you go there, you click on writable. Let me now log off and log back in as a student. And I'll make it a little bigger. When you log into writable, you will see it right at the top. It's informational, poetry, mother to son. You're going to open it up, click on read and write, and let me make it smaller so it looks a little bit more friendly. I put the reminders for what you need to do here. Read, annotate, make a T-chart. There is a video on the right if you need a reminder of this process. Otherwise, your prompt, the one that we just broke down, is here. Okay? You can make your T-chart here, or you should already have it. Whoops. Back to reading. Okay, I'm trying to see if I can go back a little bit. If you put your T-chart here, that's fine. Just make sure that you write your response by clicking on the My Response tab. Okay, so I'm going to go back a little bit. Sorry. I'm going to go back to the dashboard, right, and go back to read and write. I wanted to show you a few things. So here's your prompt again. We broke it down, and hopefully you broke it down in a T-chart on a piece of paper in front of you. There are multiple choice questions here that I asked to help you understand the reading. Now, this is something that won't be on the test, but just give them a try and see if you're understanding properly so that your answer will be, as close as possible to being correct. Okay? And then lastly, your response. When you are ready, this is my response, and it is amazing, amazing. When you're ready and you proofread it and you crossed out the things or checked off the things on your T-chart to and are sure that you did everything on it, click on check and submit. And you've got your rubric right here. This is what you will be graded on. So actually, you can go back, and while you're writing, hint, 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 your response, you can actually click on that blue thing on the right, check and submit, and you can kind of guide yourself on how you should write your response. All right. A good response should have an intro, a body, yada, yada. It should have transitions. It should use formal language with good style and should have a conclusion. So really an introduction, a body, and conclusion. These are the actual rubrics that the teacher that will grade your test at the end of the year will use. So I put that there for you to see what we will be grading you on. So I'll be grading some random other Mississippi kids essay prompt or prompt response. Okay, and this is the rubric that I will be using. So use this rubric while you're writing, okay, to guide yourself. And when you're done, you click submit, and it will ask you if you're ready. And if you're not ready, press cancel. But if you are, press submit. Then this is super important. There's a little button. There's a thing that says self-review. Okay, please, please, please click on self-review now. Okay, it will give you 6 questions, right? And you just give yourself a rating. So number 1, did I introduce a topic that is clearly developed? 1 star. I'm being honest with myself, right? Because I just wrote la 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 la. This is my response, and it is amazing. Did I develop a main point by including facts, blah, blah, blah? Nope. Did I use good transitions? Nope. Did I include language that is specific to the topic? Nope. Oh, by the way, as you're rating something, you can add a comment right under the specific thing that you rated. So, for example, good transitions. Okay, no, I'll say number 4. Okay, I gave a 1, and I'm going to explain myself a little bit more by clicking on Add Comment, and I'm going to write. There's some comment examples that you can use, like, could you support this idea? I'd like to have an explanation of whatever. Or you can click on No Thanks, I'll write my own. So I'm just going to use one of the comment stems, and it's going to start with I'd like to have an explanation of. And I'm going to finish that. I'd like to have an explanation of what the heck your topic is. Your topic is about. Okay, so I'm going to be a little bit formal. What the heck, what my topic is actually about. So this is a self-review, right? You're going to be also doing this with your classmates. And when you do this with your classmates, you're going to see a random classmate's submission. You're not going to know who they are, and you're going to do what I'm doing right now, okay? So number 5, the student develops a response appropriate. Nope. Concluding statement. Nope. If I wanted to switch back to writing, I could do that by clicking on switch to writing, but I feel like I'm done, so I'm going to click submit. And that is that. It is submitted. Okay? One more thing. And you can stop now if you wanted to, but I'm just going to make a few inferences about this prompt. Prompt 2. We're going back to prompt 2. This is a hard prompt. This is a hard prompt. So I'm just going to make some inferences to maybe help myself a little bit. So the form of the text that we are about to read, right? We already know that it's a poem, which is literature, which is fiction. Okay? Made up. Okay, and we already talked about this. What is my guess on what point of view it might be in? I think it might be in first person point of view, right? Because remember, we highlighted or we underlined a mother speaking to her son. And also we have a clue from the title, mother to son. The title is literally mother to son. What is the type of prompt? Haha. Now this is tricky. Let's take a look at it. Is it a narrative prompt? Is it an informational prompt? Or is it an argumentative prompt? Is it a narrative prompt, an informational prompt, or an argumentative prompt? So first of all, I'm going to ask myself, do I have to, are there any words that say story, that I have to write a story, or continue a story, or retell a story, or pretend that I'm someone else? If the answer is no to all those questions, then I'm probably not going to be making something up, which means I'm probably not going to be writing a narrative. So that leaves informational and argumentative. Now, an argumentative we will talk about next week, but an argumentative, you are stating your opinion about something, and you are arguing and trying to defend your opinion. Okay, you're trying to convince. You've also heard of it as persuasive essay. Okay, you're trying to persuade something. We did this in December or November last year when y'all were trying to convince me to get a PS5, and someone actually did convince me to get a PS4. Okay, so that's persuasive. So are we doing any of that in this prompt? Nope. There's nothing saying opinion or what do you think or anything like that. So that leaves informational. And the key word for that is, for me at least, is the word explain, right? The purpose of an author writing an informational text or a response to an informational prompt, which this is what it is an informational prompt. The purpose of you as author is to give information, all right? And the biggest clue is explain, right? You're giving information to your reader. That is your purpose, okay? I hope that makes sense. I'm going to go ahead and circle that in yellow and put what is my purpose as the author writing a response to an informational prompt. My purpose is to give information explaining how theme develops, or let's just say explaining something about the text. Let's leave it at that to keep it simple. All right. I had one more thing. I just can't remember what it was. All right. So this is your assignment. It's going to be due at the end of Sunday night. It's a tough one. So you're going to need to. I would recommend starting this early in the week and working on it a little bit at a time during the week. And when I ask you to work on it independently in class, that you actually do it. And when you start running into roadblocks because you're not sure what you're doing or not sure where to go, then you reach out to me during independent practice in a private chat and talk to me. You can also talk to me before or after class, or write me an email, or as usual, school status. Again, I just went over 2 narrative prompts. Wait. Sorry, my bad. Tricky. I misspoke at the beginning. I said that I would go over 2 narrative prompts. So I'm actually wrong. The first one, where you had to write a journal entry, didn't have a text, but the prompt itself is a narrative prompt. You have to write a story. Okay? I hope that's clear. The first prompt is a narrative prompt. Did I do that? Yes. Okay, and I'll go back and fill this in so that you guys can see it. But to be clear, the second prompt, you have to read a narrative text, right? Your text is a narrative. It's fiction. It's a poem. It's a story, right? It's made up. But your prompt is informational. You see the difference? It's a little tricky, right? So you are explaining, you're giving information in your response to this informational prompt, which is a prompt related to a narrative text. I know that probably just like blew your mind if you even made it this far. But let me know if you have any questions, and thank you for sitting with me through this, and I hope that it made sense. And I'll see you next time I see you.